Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings and welcome back. This one was early in April, and I've been putting off uploading this video because it is a lengthy, not only is it a lengthy report, it's also one that, it essentially is an FAFO type situation. You could, at least from the cursory reading. And I met my dream man at yoga class, but his wife uh, separated, you know, the upper part of his above his shoulders when she found out. So it touches into an FAFO, FAFO, however you want to say it, and it's an acronym, but it's still a violent act, and it is a violent act perpetrated by a woman against a man. And I want you to keep in mind this didn't happen in isolation. This is most likely an progression, whether from the day they said I do, or or some point in the course of their multi year marriage. This woman most likely began abusing her special forces husband. He was a Green Beret for the Army, 20 years. If you're not aware, the military is very, 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 very. Let me put it in perspective. Jason Hansen in April 2025 uploaded a video about polygraph test taking, and he described the situation and some of the questions he had to answer for his interviews with the Secret Service, a local police department after he got after college, I believe it was, and for the CIA. And some of those questions dealt with relationship fidelity. The military, in order to get your top secret security clearances, your classified level security clearance, also asks you a battery of tests or questions, such as your level of fidelity to your significant other, your wife, your girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, as the case may be. That he is a that Mr. Bonnell was a Green Beret. And first of all, he's in Fayetteville, if you're not aware, is home to things that don't exist. It has the notoriety of having a nickname as Vietnam. It is a conjoined base of Pope Air Force Base on one side and Fort Bragg on the other. I can tell you that when I was dating a woman in a suburb of Fayetteville, I went into the city to connect with an old high school friend. And as I was walking down the sidewalk, a woman started yelling at me, hey baby, I've missed you so much, and comes running literally a block full speed and jumps up, wraps her arms around me, her legs around my waist. I was unfazed because up until the moment she jumped onto me, I thought she was referring to another individual who was not in my visual field. Since then, I'm much more aware, because this is decades ago. I'm much more aware of such actions, but at the time I was aware of what it meant. It was a solicitation thing, and that's what her aim was to draw me into her bar so that I would spend money on her on drinks and all that nonsense. There's other people that talk about such things, and I I have very low tolerance for stupid games. But getting back to Mr. Bonnell, most likely in the course of his marriage to uh, his wife, I'm willing to bet his wife was very abusive because you don't remove a man's head just because. Oh, you've never heard the expression, you know, you know, a woman scorned, or you know, H have no fear, hath no fury as a woman scorned. Yes, I've heard that saying, and again, violent offenders don't exist in a bubble. You don't just decide one day you're going to be a criminal mastermind. As with everything in life, you acquire the skills, and with the competency, with the experience, you become more bold, more willing to attempt something more grand. Most likely, she was a very violent individual, and as I was alluding to, the military has the UCMJ Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is very, very, very strict. And with somebody who has a high level security clearance, a spouse can make your life a nightmare. Therefore, it was probably in his thinking, as with many in the military, I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm just going to put up with it and go along to get along. And this is the result. Because as we're going to find out, he talked to a divorce lawyer and then returned home and said to Shana Cloud, "Hey, I've talked to a divorce lawyer." And that was the last time anybody heard from Mr. Bonnell. He planned on retiring to become a physician's assistant. If anybody's gone to the doctor over the last decade, last 15 years, that is the majority of a medical practice anymore, is nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. I don't know that I have a real opinion on it. I find it fascinating that you have a doctor who then outsources to these designees, but that can be covered in a future time. Wasn't long, so he goes to the yoga place because has an instant connection with the facilitator, the owner. They began a relationship, and then he decides, I got to make this right. I got to get a divorce. So after months, he goes to a divorce lawyer, and then he tells the girlfriend, "This is my plan." Then he tells the wife, "We're getting a divorce." So when it comes time, only his torso is found. The portion that identifies him the most, short of fingerprints and such, meaning teeth, ears, eyes, facial recognition, still, as of the publication of this report, haven't been found. That's the level of anger and uncontrolled rage women possess. All right. So the bulk of the news report seems to be focused upon the yoga girlfriend in terms of, hey, this is your experience and this is what happened. Can you relate to us, the the news, you know, the news service, your opinion, and so she goes into detail, of it, and of course, some of this is public record. And she states that she knew that he was married when they got together, and then they, include that the couple, the Cloud, you know, Shana Cloud and Clint Bonnell were together for 16 years. He made the what a lot of us have done, and that is the mistake of becoming a step parent, because anybody who's dated a woman who has children can tell you without question, you don't matter. Her child matters. Her child can break everything in your home, but how dare you expect any level of restitution or remedy? Yeah, but I don't want to get off on that tangent. So, all right. So they had, and it goes on to say that they'd had problems in their relationship, and they went to counseling, and that Shanna Cloud wasn't even staying at the home, which, as any, if you've listened to any of these videos that I covered for March or of anybody else, that's usually a red flag that the woman has already stepped out. And I can tell you from my own experience that women in a relationship, when you end it, if you begin with another woman before they've met another man, ooh, the barbs come out. If you've experienced it, you know it. Because what has been revealed is that women work monkey branching, and what they perceive is you had a closet relationship while you were with them, because that's what they would have done if they had the opportunity. So that, you know, but it already, I have my suspicions about Shanna Cloud, that she was probably an abuser, abusive to him, and she'd already found somebody else and had left. And he was happy with the yoga girlfriend, wanted to get a divorce. I've got the link and information in the description. I don't want to go into this because I'm not all that interested in highlighting an infidelity case, as much as I feel that the value of calling out the woman's violent nature is more necessary as a warning. If nothing else is a warning to you listening to me or anybody else out there, do not become involved with a woman who has children already, because you will never be any level of a priority. In fact, you will be treated as a servant who has to pay for the privilege of being that servant. Furthermore, don't become involved with somebody who has emotional issues. And do not become involved with somebody if you have any level of security clearance or something of equal value that could be placed at risk. And that means essentially anything that you have, wages, property, investments, anything that you value, even pets. It's just safer. It's just safer not to do it. Links in the description for the full article if you are so inclined.